This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the Technical Director, the Grand Schwabini, and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now.
Ayo.
Ayo, there you go. We are here. Welcome to the Sports Porch Black and Gold. I do not see our Hockey Jesus. He's not here yet, but we're going to go through with the introduction anyway. Welcome to the Sports Porch Black and Gold edition, coming to you from all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, you can download the podcast and listen to it anytime on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. That's right. And here comes Hockey Jesus. I am your technical director. Across from me in the studio is the Grand Schwabini. To my right in the studio, the great Hockey Jesus.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's
It's
all right.
okay.
Nature calls, you know, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
For once, the technical difficulties are not my fault.
Yeah,
That's
good.
all. That's all I care about.
Don't worry, there's
You did
plenty
it.
of time for that.
You did a nice job pivoting, too. You didn't get hung up on it. You just rolled right through.
I appreciate
Good for
that.
you.
Thank you very
Way to go,
much.
TD.
I'm making progress.
You are.
That's what it's all about, progress. So also, we want you to subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not, go over to YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. It's really easy to find. And of course, on X, the Sports Porch 1. What are we going to do? We're going to talk black and gold sports as we do every single Monday at 7:30 p.m. Let's jump right into it, boys, because I love this. This is a topic that I hate to love and I love to hate. It's baseball. It's baseball in Pittsburgh. The Pirates sweep and get swept, setting records along the way. For those of you who thought for a moment that maybe that incredible burst of offensive activity had turned the Pirates season around, beating the Mets 9-1, 9-2, 12-1, putting 7 up on the Cardinals, then only 1 run, but 5 on the Cardinals. Say no more.
It's all over.
They have come crashing back down. A 6-0 loss to the Mariners, followed up by a 1-0 shutout and a 1-0 shutout. Yet another wasted Paul Skeens start. 5 innings pitched.
Not for Skeens.
Yeah.
Lowered his ERA again.
Right. 5 innings pitched, no runs.
Listen to this.
10 strikeouts.
I heard
10 strikeouts.
I heard this stat. Listen to this. In Paul Skeens' last 13 appearances, he's got 1 win and a 1.72 ERA.
It's
Impossible.
It's ridiculous.
It's impossible.
Absolutely
Nope, it happened.
Ridiculous.
Only to the Buccos.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the pitching stats.
Is he their lone all-star?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There was some clamoring about, getting Kutch on the All-Star game.
Why? Yeah.
Dude, he's
Yeah.
not an All-Star. Nobody other than people in Pittsburgh and maybe some guys left in Philadelphia remember Kutch. That's it.
Bailey Falter leads the team with 6 wins. He's actually not having a bad year.
He's doing okay.
I mean, he was a good gat.
Yeah, he's okay.
Skeens' ERA is actually a paltry 194 right now.
Back below, too.
And his strikeouts, he's got 125 strikeouts on the season.
He had 10 and 5 innings the other day.
That's exactly right. In 116 innings pitched. 30 walks. So his Ks per 9 is 9.7. I mean, it doesn't
That's
get
incredible.
any better than this guy. And what happens? They go out and they put up 1 run.
They just don't score for him.
And of course, like the second they take him out, the next pitcher comes in and gives up a run.
Yeah.
Like you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, that always happens when you got a firestorm thrower like he does.
Well, Skeens is 4-7 on the year with a 1.94 ERA and 125 strikeouts through 19 starts, 12 of which were quality starts. Now, here's something that this hurts.
12 of 19 quality starts.
Yeah, well, and Mitch Keller, 12 of 18 quality starts. He's 3-10.
And actually, he was 1-10 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Now, and he's got a 3.64 ERA, which is respectable.
Yeah, it's respectable. Sure, yeah.
And we've been talking about him for a couple years. Definitely a quality number 3 starter.
Sure.
When he's pitching really well, he's a number 2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure on a team that would score an average of 4+ runs a game, he's a number 2 guy. So is Mitch Keller actually a number 2 guy? You know, I mean, I'm not trying to start a debate about that.
Not on a good team, but on
saying,
many
right.
teams, probably.
Right. You know, you got Andrew Haney, 7 quality starts in 17. He's 4-7 with a 4.16, which is respectable.
It's not terrible.
Right. Bailey Falter, 6 quality starts out of 18 starts with a 3.69 ERA.
Pretty good.
Very respectable. Okay. Then we keep talking about the pitching. Yeah, pitching's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The All-Star game hasn't happened. We all know that Bailey Falter and Mitch Keller in the second half of the season seem to, for lack of a better term, falter.
Correct.
Fall off.
Falters.
So I want to get to like buyers and sellers because, for the first time in a long time, listening to Pirates fans on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we love about what we do here is we if you're just catching up with us, we're 3 lifelong sports fans. We've known each other for 35 years. We're not insiders, so we don't have locker room access. So if you're coming here to see an interview with Andrew McCutchen, you're not going to. And to be quite honest, we don't hold our opinions back. I wouldn't interview Andrew McCutchen because I'm not interested in great guy. Great for the city of Pittsburgh. Don't want any
good person.
Don't want anybody to get upset. Borderline Hall of Fame player. Got it. Totally got it. If this was 2013, damn, we would be on that bandwagon. Of course. His playing days are, a block and a half from being over. I doubt if he comes back next year, that's going to be why? That's going to be a disaster. To be honest, that's going to signify
he'd probably still be the best hitter on the Pirates.
He's padding stats to get to the Hall.
I know. So the point I was making is that you're not going to get the interviews here, but what you're going to get is you're going to get an honest commentary. We're fans. We tell it like we see it. Okay. So the Pirates pitching has been great. And I want to get to the buyers and the sellers thing. But what I thought was interesting that I haven't heard in a long time is, everybody's so down on the Buccos because of their record. Donnie Kelly takes over and he kind of rights the ship. And I think what he did was he righted the ship just in terms of attitude. They're I mean,
not everybody.
But can you really say that? Yeah, that's where I'm going.
O'Neill Cruz's attitude is still in the pits.
I'm sorry.
Come on, he's batting a great 179.
He needs to go. So they win 6 in a row. And in years past, what we hear is, ooh, they're making a comeback. Are they gonna right the ship? Are they gonna be buyers? Are they gonna be buyers? Now I did hear some people on the radio say, are they gonna be buyers? The answer is
why on earth would they be buyers?
Hell no. Hell no.
The question is how many
me?
sellers?
Right. And are they going to be buyers? Yeah, they're going to be bargain basement buyers because they're going to be selling off assets. And the question I have for you is, you're Ben Cherington. I know everybody's calling for Ben Cherington to be fired. I get it. Look,
always wanted to be a GM of a baseball team.
Well, it's kind of like the freezer at Trader Joe's where I work.
Okay,
right? That place sells a lot of frozen food.
Right.
All right.
Constantly restocking. The problem is the freezer is too small. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's true.
So
there's only so much floor space.
That's right. They bring an order in. If it's too big, I got to stuff stuff in there. I can't complain about who wrote the order because the freezer's just too small. It's the way the building was built. Yep. That's where it starts.
It starts with the PO guy. You got not making the right order.
You got it. So what happens is, it starts with the freezer being too small.
Yeah. Your space is just limited.
They outsell the freezer.
The freezer's there.
Okay. So anyway, now you're blowing my whole point out of the water. Thank you. No, what I'm saying is Ben Cherington is there. It starts with the owner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, period.
Yeah. Sure.
Do you think if they fire Ben Cherington, they're going to shell out, I don't know, $10 million a year and get the best goddamn general manager baseball has to offer?
No.
No.
So my question to you guys is, you're Ben Cherington.
who's the first player you trade and why? Who's on your list? It doesn't have to be anybody that, this isn't who do you think the Pirates are going to trade? Who's the first player you trade and why?
I'd say we have Brian Reynolds.
Okay.
He's making over 100 million, overall.
Yep.
And he's hitting maybe like 238 with 8 home runs, something like that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here while you're making your
and
case.
To me, that's the stats of a platoon player.
229 with 10 home runs and 45 RBIs in 85 games played.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's it's borderline a platoon player.
To me, that's pedestrian.
It's average.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need to be paying him $100 million.
Right.
So I would trade him. He'd be the first guy.
Okay. Good evening, guys, says Marvin Hamilton. He's back. Thanks for being back here, Marvin. Really appreciate
Good evening, Marvin.
Chris Chada has a question about O'Neal Cruz. We'll get
to that.
him. So he's your first. He's your first guy. Who would be your second?
Bednar. Because Bednar, now look, Bednar had a bad start to the year, went down to AAA, got stuff figured out, has come back and had a really good season. He could even be potentially considered, as maybe an all-star replacement. But the reason why I say David Bednar is because I say you capitalize on this now.
Right.
Capitalize on it now because he's shown that he's very streaky.
He's definitely rebounded. 29 innings pitched, 42 Ks with a 2.73 ERA, and he's now up to 12 saves.
Right.
So yeah, he turned it around.
He's turned it around, and he's got value now because people are looking for closers or back end bullpen help. But the bottom line is, look, I mean, first of all, by the time this team is good, which I don't know is ever. He's not going to be your guy, right? And the other thing about him is, let's be honest. I mean, he is unreliable. I mean, basically what he does is he comes in and he gives up 2 walks and a hit, and strands the bases loaded by striking out the side. I mean, that's his save. It's never easy, right? It's never 1, 2, 3. It's just a nightmare. So, capitalize on his good numbers now. And get something healthy in return.
Okay. Anybody else to add to that list?
I would add Jared Triolo.
Oh, does anybody want him though?
Yeah, I mean that would be my question.
But you asked me if I would trade. I mean, who else are you going to trade? I mean, you can't trade O'Neal Cruz. I'm sorry,
nobody wants him.
You just can't do it. But he would be the only guy that people would want.
Actually, IKF.
Yeah, I mean Triolo's bat is non-existent. He's batting 163.
I know. I'm looking at it.
He's a defensive guy.
Somebody wants a good utility player might be interested in IKF.
Yeah, and he's made the rounds along with Tommy Pham. But again,
yeah, he's a bat in the 272. I mean, you're right. They probably somebody would want him. That's the problem. Like, you can't trade any of these guys because nobody wants these guys.
Yeah, and do you want them on the Pirates next year? I mean, that's the bigger question. It's not who are you going to trade. It's who do you want on the team next year? Because the roster changes so much every year. There's a lot of rumors about Brian Hayes. Who wants this guy? He's well known. I mean,
he'd be a great defensive replacement at third base.
That's it. That's all he would be.
Right.
And he's got back issues.
That's pretty much it.
And as soon as he gets traded, he'll walk up the steps the wrong way and he'll be out for the rest of the year with his back, Okay. HJ, first guy on your list to trade.
I got nobody. That was my list. I mean, Joey Bart would be another guy I'd get rid of just so you could play Henry Davis. But right. I mean, does anybody want Joey Bart? Maybe.
Maybe.
He would be a guy I'd get rid of. You got to get rid of guys. They got too many guys in the same position. And the reality is they don't need that many guys. Like, would I get rid of Tommy Pham? Abso-freaking-lutely. He'd be another guy I'd trade. Why do we even go get him to begin with? What the Pirates need to do is they need to go get some damn hitting. And that's the big problem. What are they going to do at the trade deadline? They're going to trade away probably a good pitcher, maybe even 2 good pitchers. And what are they going to get? Prospects. They're not going to go get a hitter. They're ruining this team with one of the best pitching staffs in the MLB. And all they got to do is go out and get some hitting. Most baseball teams would be, hey, our pitching's good. Let's keep our pitching intact. Bednar's finally coming around again. We stuck with him. Good for us. Now all we got to do is go get some hitting, because they've proven when they had that win streak that, when they got timely hitting, it worked. It worked. And I know that, it was just streaky. These guys are not good enough. They can't do it all the time. But if they did get good enough hitters, they could actually be a winner.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same.
And that costs money. It's
the same old thing over and over and over again. And, I remind people when I talk to them outside of the friendly confines of our porch that, the Pirates, in spite of the fact, everybody likes to joke, they're the AAA team for Major League Baseball. Not really.
No, they're not even AAA.
If you think about it, the problem we're having right here is not, who are they going to trade? It's who's going to want anybody on their team. I mean, it's obvious somebody would want Bednar. I mean, the Phillies supposedly were in talks to get Bednar. I think it's pretty obvious somebody would want Mitch Keller as a back of the rotation starter heading into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We know Paul Skeens is untouchable.
But why would you get rid of those guys?
I get it.
If you dismantle the pitching, it all falls apart.
But that's the thing. All you're talking about here, the only players that I truly believe any other team would look at and say there's some real value there are these guys on your pitching staff. So you've got, and I would include Bailey Falter in that now, just because he's a guy that he can eat up innings, and he appears to kind of have found his spot in the rotation. We'll see how the second half of the year pans out. So you got a reliever in Bednar, you got a starter in Keller, you got a starter in Falter, even Haney, you've got a starter there. And then, of course, who wouldn't want Paul Skeens? But he's supposedly untouchable. So,
Well, here's what you have in terms of the roster has been built terribly in terms of it's not even close to balance. So the Pirates,
not even close. The
Pirates lead the league in runs against. Okay. I'm sorry. They're number one in least runs against.
Right.
Okay. And they also lead the league in terms of they have the least amount of runs scored.
Right. Even after that offensive explosion.
Right.
The Kansas City jumped them, by the way. They're at 304.
I was just doing National League.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You only do National League.
Yep.
I forgot. Sorry,
yeah, you're only a National League.
No, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you only want to look at the National League.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Now, I will say that all important stat that I like to quote, the run differential. They did because of that outburst shave about 30 runs off of that.
Yeah.
So they were at like a negative 75, and now they're a negative 37.
Right. But keep in mind, in the National League, there are only 4 teams that have basically are in the negative differential, and they're one of the 4 teams.
Right. They are. And the worst one is
solidly
the Rockies.
The Rockies minus 229. So they are not as bad as the Rockies.
I mean, imagine saying at least we're not the Colorado Rockies.
That's where we would be headed, though, if we got rid of some of our pitching.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, because they would definitely give up more.
That's exactly
more runs,
right.
And that's the only thing that's keeping them down.
Well,
bad management, bad owners.
Let's
go over the latest O'Neill Cruz record. And why don't you put up Chris Chada's quote here?
Yeah, let's do that. You got it? All right.
Now, it's no, actually, that's the bullpen
one.
That's the bullpen one. Yeah. Which is really interesting. Why is it that O'Neill Cruz seems to be the only player that has his every move graded by miles per hour?
That's a great question.
So apparently,
that's interesting. Yeah.
So apparently, O'Neill Cruz threw out a guy at the plate yesterday at 105.2 miles per hour. And it was a great throw.
Yeah, it was also a great tag.
It was a great throw, and it was a great tag.
Yeah.
And really, the thing that's kind of funny is if the player it was so impossible that the player didn't even expect it, and so he was standing up. Had he slid, he would have been safe.
That's true.
You know,
it wouldn't,
but
had he slid, it
right.
wouldn't have been that great a throw.
right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you know, like now this is the second time that we're talking about O'Neal Cruz for miles per hour. The first time was
with his bat,
and now it's with his arm. But shouldn't we really be talking about with O'Neal Cruz? Shouldn't he be sent down to AAA? I mean, look, he's got skill, but he's got no heart. He's got no common sense. And the reality is, I mean, he's been hitting like 170 since May or something like that.
Yeah, 179, I think.
179 since May. I mean, and he barely shows effort half the time in the outfield. I mean, like, Don't you think he needs to be shocked a little bit? You know, like, hey, look, you know, you actually can't just be a Major League Baseball player just because you're on the Pirates and you've got more talent than most of the folks on the team.
And I actually question, honestly, I question whether he actually has more talent than most folks on the team. Now
he's got athletic ability.
Physical talent.
Let's just talk
mentally. About this. He doesn't understand the game of baseball.
I hear what you're saying, Rance Wabini. I hear it. He's batting .203 in 80 games played. He has 15 home runs. That's the one good stat.
Right.
Which is decent.
Does he have stolen bases though too?
He has 28 stolen bases.
Not bad. Two good stats.
Not bad. Yeah.
But 203 is miserable.
He has 113 strikeouts and 117 total bases.
Okay.
So, I mean, look, and everybody has seen his effort on the field. So let's just look. He is the George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He's not even that good.
He needs to go. I'm sorry. The experiment is done. This is year 4. 1 year was pretty much gone. So we'll call it year 3. I'm pretty sure this is year 3. Before I blast him on that, let's just look at his career. Let's see, career. Yeah, 324 games played. So, you know, I think we've gotten a sample. This is actually year 5. But
year 5.
Yeah, but year 1 he only played in 2 games, so that doesn't count. This is
only year 1 in the outfield.
Yeah, and in year 2 he played 87 games, and then he got injured the next year, 146 and 80. You know, to be honest with you, 238 career average with 55 home runs in what amounts to about 2 full years. That would be like, okay, he's a player, you know.
Yeah, he's a number 7 hitter on a good team.
He's pedestrian,
maybe,
but he sucks in the field.
Well, they ruined him in the field because remember he was a shortstop, and then they decided that experiment was over, and they just threw him in the outfield and said, just learn the position. And the Pirates are terrible with doing that. You know, they started Henry Davis out in the outfield. Now he's actually catching. He's actually playing pretty good ball, at least behind the plate. Right. His hitting still needs some work, of course.
Yeah,
but that's the problem with the Pirates. Yeah. They play these games with these guys. And, you know, and I'm not sticking up for O'Neal Cruz, but it's just a farcical, my favorite word.
You're not going to be able to change a guy like O'Neal Cruz's attitude. You're just not. And you either,
well, you're right about that.
You either have the hustle or you don't. So let's put Henry Davis.
Do you think, here, let me play devil's advocate. If you can't change his attitude, what is sending him down to the minor leagues going to do? That's nothing, right?
Exactly what I was.
Well, that's the only chance that you have to change the attitude.
That would be the only way you could make a cultural adjustment.
Right. It's the only chance.
Is say, look, you're not untouchable. You go down.
Yeah, and I don't think that O'Neal Cruz would take it that way. I think
he wouldn't take it well.
No, I think he'd just be pissed off. I think he'd demand to be traded.
Well, that would work out well for everybody.
Well, yeah, of course it would. But, you know, then what's next?
You know, Brian Reynolds isn't much better than O'Neal Cruz.
Not right now. He's not.
I mean, he has 98 strikeouts himself. He's only batting .228.
Yep.
He doesn't have nearly 10 home runs. Yeah. I mean, you know, 2/3 of what O'Neal Cruz has. He's another bum.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that now for Brian Reynolds, he did have a couple pretty good years, which led to this contract.
Well, right. So maybe he's the smart one. He got the contract, and now he's like, "Screw you! I'm not going to play for you guys." Right?
Well, I think it's you also have to think about the psychology of being on a team,
right?
That is a very bad team.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if Brian Reynolds gets traded at the deadline and plays very well for his new team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. And as far as attitude goes, I mean, you saw Skeens when he got pulled after 5 innings. He was just like, I knew this was going to happen. He didn't even the poor guy looks like he is held hostage.
Well, they told him,
and he knows it. So there's nothing he can do. Like, why get upset about it when they probably like you said, he said he was in on it, whatever that means.
They told him it was going to be a light load day.
Yeah, and then he goes out, pitches lights out, gets no run support. He gets pulled, and he's just laughing about it. At this point, I mean, that's where his attitude is. He's not upset about it because he realizes what he has to deal with for another 2 years.
Yeah, if that, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, well, he doesn't go to arbitration this year or next year. It's the year after.
No, but as we've talked about in
they're
sports,
never going to pay him the arbitration number.
They're going to try not to.
So then he'd only have 1 year left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. We've talked about this in sports in general. The players have all the leverage now. If I'm Paul Skeens, I wait for this offseason to see what the organization does. And if they do essentially anywhere remotely close to what they did this past offseason, I walk into the season and I say, I want out. I'm not pitching. And if you think about it, a guy like him, okay, fine, we're going to make you sit. You're just saving him. You're saving him because he's young enough. You think he's going to sit around and drink beer? No, he's going to work out.
No, I know what he's going to do. He's going to hang out with Livy. That's
yeah,
what he's
I mean,
he's got plenty of reasons to sit around at home.
I teed that up for you perfectly.
Hey.
Yeah, I would do the same.
Hey, I would tell him the same thing.
Absolutely.
What you're going to make me sit at home with Livy Dunn?
I feel so bad.
Boy, that's rough.
I'm sure
I'll have to manage that somehow.
I'm sure he's going to get some multiple workouts in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but my point is
maybe you learn some gymnastics.
Yeah,
moves.
I probably already know some gymnastics moves.
Get really good at thrusting.
Yeah, you understand my point. If you force him to sit because you play chicken with him, all you're doing is elongating his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't mind the short outages because it's just saving his arm for when it matters.
Absolutely,
a year or two.
If I'm Paul Skeens next year and you sign Tommy Pham or Tommy Pham's lookalike and you bring back Jack Sawinski because let's bring him back and I'm saying, you know what, guys, I'm staying at home.
Do you think he would really hold out?
If I don't,
that never happens in Major League Baseball, does it?
It doesn't. But it's.
You're saying you would.
I'm saying
your frustration.
If I'm him, I would be like,
get it.
I'm sorry. If you put a competitive team on the field, I'm your guy. But this is literally year 3 of you hanging me out to dry every single time I pitch. And all I do is compete like a motherfucker for you.
I'm going to give you.
And basically, he is on track to win the Cy Young in the National League with a horrendous losing record, which leads to another debate that's going on right now about win and loss records. And maybe on another show, we'll talk about that because I was talking to some people.
You got to have a winning record.
Well, my point, though, is that let's say Skeens ends up, he's 4-7. Let's say he ends up, say 12-16, but he's got like a 1.82 ERA. And,
nope.
And
no shot.
And
nope, not going to happen.
210 strikeouts.
No shot.
Not going to happen.
Who's in the National League is going to win?
Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
He's
good enough.
He's going to go like 18-6.
Okay. Well, that
2.17 and more strikeouts.
He'll be close enough.
Close enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, close enough. But you have to say that Paul Skeens, if he had the winning record, would probably he would push him and probably win it.
He probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now is
with
that
the better ERA? Yeah.
Is that Paul Skeens' fault
No.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
It
it is because he was drafted by the Pirates.
Well, but it's not his fault. He was
shouldn't
drafted by the Pirates.
He shouldn't have played so good for LSU.
No, what he should have done is
He should have recognized who was going to draft him.
He should have
been like, ow, my arm. I think I pulled something.
He should have pulled a John Elway and an Eli Manning and said, I ain't playing for you. You know, I mean,
yeah, but that never happens in baseball. That's why I asked.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
So here's a chance at a segue. Who do you think has a better beef at holding out? Skeens or TJ Watt?
Oh,
Skeens.
All the way.
But yet TJ Watt's going to be the guy that holds out.
The more I really think about it, let's kind of maybe bring it to the Steelers.
Yeah, we're
now.
done with the Pirates for now. We're going to move on. And any minute now, we should be getting some sort of snack coming down the stairs.
I mean, the more I really think about it with TJ Watt, I don't think they should pay him. I really don't. I mean, because I think it's very up in the air as to if he is going fast on the downside.
Yeah.
And like, really think about it. I mean, like, you got to pay him $40 million.
Mm-hmm. But it's only like a $4 million increase from what he's making now. That's the thing. It's relative to what his salary is now. That's the thing. That's why they're going to do it, because it's not a large amount of money.
Yeah, but you still have all the other years that are going to.
I get it. I wouldn't pay it myself.
Yeah.
The latest thing I heard, you'll probably like this, especially TD will like this a lot. Terry McLaurin's holding out, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's the latest thing. Like, okay,
to be honest, if
trade Terry McLaurin for TJ Watt,
actually it was TJ Watt for Terry McLaurin and a number 1 pick, and like maybe a 4 pick or something. If they did that, they freaking robbed the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
Yeah. So, but
none of that's
going to happen.
No,
I don't. I understand. Terry McLaurin holding out. I still think he ends up being with the Commanders because he wants to play with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, he probably will be.
I mean,
he wants paid is what he wants.
Well, right, but
let's face facts.
They'll pay him. I think he deserves.
Well, he'd been through some rough times there, but do you pay a guy that's what he's going to be 28?
Yes, he's
upper 20s.
He's a top 10, arguably top 5 receiver in the NFL. I mean, that's just and he was
top 10, maybe.
Top 10.
Well, he was a top 10 guy when they did not have Jaden Daniels.
Well, he didn't vastly improve last year with Daniels.
Well, no, that's because Daniels had other targets and was really good at distributing the ball.
Right, so they don't need him as much. That's my point. Why pay more
saying.
For a guy like that?
All right, I'm being a homer. Okay,
that's okay. It's fine. Then you're allowed. It's fine. But that's why I don't know. If they'll actually pay him. That's hard to do. I mean, they brought in Debo, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but
why did they bring him in?
Well, it doesn't. It makes sense to have Debo if you don't have McLaren.
Debo's got some, Debo's got some weight issues, I hear.
Yeah. He likes to snack quite a bit in the off season.
Yeah. You got that 10, 15 pound Trader Joe's gut.
So I'm familiar with that. So TJ Watt holding out Gooder on the downside. You know what?
That's the big unknown, Mark.
Yeah.
It is. It's a huge
Last
unknown.
year, was he hurt? Or last year, did he just take a dive? Is he just getting to that age? And maybe that's why he wants to sign a big contract, because he knows
maybe
he just doesn't have as much as he had in the tank.
Well,
or maybe he's got one more year left in it.
I think the other side of that is
the defense overall is going to be better.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think the other side of that is that they don't get very creative with TJ Watt.
No, they don't.
And
it makes you wonder if he knows how to be creative.
Well, so after the first few games and you have some film and you have a template and you're playing the Steelers. So for last year, what happens is you go, okay, the rest of the defense is not performing. I'm oversimplifying this, but the rest of the defense is not performing that well. Let's just focus on TJ Watt because we know he's always coming from the right side.
Yeah, they always put a running back over there or a tight end. They double chip him, and that slows him down.
Right, and as much as we think these pass rushers are supermen, which compared to us they are, they're human. So you put enough bodies on them, you're going to slow them down, and then they get nicked up. I think almost every NFL player, plays part of the season hurt. It's just part of the game.
Well,
so,
and I think TJ as a pass rusher relied more on his speed than he did his strength.
right.
Yeah, true.
His technique's been excellent too. Let's face it. I mean, there's a reason he was Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
But if some of his speed's gone, that could be a big problem if they don't get creative with him, because now if they just put a half a guy over there and he gets chipped half the time,
right,
maybe that's enough.
Yeah, they need to move him around.
I think that's a part of the reason the Steelers did go out and get, better secondary, because they feel like they can get another second or two that's going to help TJ get to the backfield.
I'm still worried about. I'm worried about the secondary. I mean, that's the thing that we're going to talk about next year. A week later, how does the Minka trade look? I feel like Minka was disgruntled, and I feel like there was something else going on behind the scenes there, because of some of the comments that he had made during the season last year and near the end about communication and all of that stuff. And I've heard this theory kind of bandied about. But I think there was more than just from a playing standpoint. And, has he lost a step? I don't know. But what did the Steelers really get? I mean, I think they got a really good tight end.
For sure. Yeah. They upgraded the tight end.
And
position.
I think they got a cornerback who is at the end of his career. I mean, Ramsey has not produced the way he produced in the beginning of his career.
For sure.
And
he's still a solid player.
Nobody's denying he's not, the speed and the strength that he had in his, first 4 seasons with Jacksonville, but he's still an excellent one. He knows the game better. 2, he'll be able to teach JP Jr. a little bit more, and he's still adequate out there, maybe even better than adequate.
Yeah.
I mean, you're overpaying for him. I get it.
Right.
That's absolutely true.
Right.
But the Steelers don't seem to care about, spending money on defense. So, and you did upgrade your wide receiver core by getting Jonnu Smith.
Yeah. I mean,
I think everything about that has been positive, even, a week or two later from the trade. I liked it to begin with. I hadn't been a fan for Minka in the last year and a half, and I'm just happy that they're past that at this point. I wish they never went that way to begin with, but you can't go back 4 years.
Well, this is obviously what they're doing is a make or break year.
They're definitely splashing all in on this, and I don't think that's a good idea, because even with what I consider to be good moves, I just don't think it's enough.
No.
The AFC is just way too talented.
Yeah, I agree.
Minus the bums over in
Cincinnati. Do you guys feel that Omar Khan has done enough to warrant a 3-year extension?
I don't think he's had a chance to really turn this ship in any sort of direction.
So why then re-up him? Is there any need to?
Well, because I think what you want to do is you want to give him a shot at drafting a quarterback. He wasn't. I mean, he was part of it.
Still had another year left on his deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying but when a guy has just 1 year left on his deal and the door is imminent, is there any real motivation to do anything? You extend him now, you take that out, and now he can concentrate on the football side of the game. And he wasn't really, he's not the one. He was part of the staff, but he's not the one that drafted Kenny Pickett, or bring in Mitch Trubisky. So, and last year was a total wash, and they had no idea what to do. So I don't really have, and also we talk about this, the Weidl effect. It's obvious that they're building an offensive line. They're trying to rebuild a defensive line.
Right.
And I think you need to give Omar Khan enough time for those two things to gel, to see if the other pieces that he brings in, if it all gels right. If that line gels right, it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be any quarterback back there who's got some talent.
Well, look, I don't disagree with you that Omar Khan deserves some time to prove.
Ooh, here we go. Oh my God.
Okay.
Look at that.
What is going on here?
Whoa, thank you.
Hey, Lauren, thanks.
All righty. Well, it looks like we'll let you finish that thought, and then we'll bring up the
yeah. Well, I think Omar Khan deserves some time to see if he can do the job. But at the same time, the one thing I don't like about re-upping him at this point was, number one, I don't think you really needed to do that. And number two, like what if all these moves that he made this year go dreadfully wrong? Then it's like you're kind of like rewarding him for having this, I guess, considered good off season. But we don't really know if it's a good off season until the season plays out.
Here's the two things I'll say about Omar Khan. He definitely has retooled the offensive line for sure. I mean, and that was absolutely necessary. That offensive line was really bad, absolutely pathetic. And now at least they got guys that are high draft picks. That if it doesn't gel this year, then it was a disaster. The other thing he's done, which you shouldn't just go past, is he's traded off all the friggin' idiots on this team.
Yeah, that's true.
He's gotten rid of them, and he's gotten some pretty good return for them too. So that's what I like about his ability to trade. He's not afraid to make that big trade, and I think that's probably his biggest contribution as I guess he's GM, right? Yeah, half GM.
No, he's the
GM.
I know, but what else there?
Well, it seems like they call kind of like Khan sort of like the cap and trade guy, and Weidl's like the talent guy.
It's like there are two GMs, because one guy is keeping the eye on the cap, and the other guy's keeping an eye on the actual player development.
Well, I think it's a good thing. I think you got to give him an opportunity to put his stamp on the team. And
they give him 3 more years?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think we've really seen the effect of that change.
Maybe they're keeping him around because they're going to need a new coach soon.
That's also a possibility.
Maybe.
That's kind of an impossibility. All right, that leads us.
I'm just saying, maybe somebody's going to retire soon.
Well, you guys can. Yes, it is.
Taste the biscuit.
It's the biscuit.
Taste the
Goodness of the biscuit.
Oh, is it good?
Taste the
It's that honey sauce.
Taste the
Taste the goodness of the biscuit with that honey sauce.
Love that sauce.
Don't get
Don't get that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings.
Don't get it on my wings.
It is Trader Joe's snack time. That's right. What does that mean? Well, I work down at Trader Joe's in Pittsburgh and East Liberty. A great store, great place. Love the people, love the food. I'm not getting paid for this, but they did give us permission. What do? I bring home a Trader Joe's product. I let these guys eat it. We give our honest opinion, and I want to thank my lovely wife, the Pittsburgh Property Diva at pittsburghpropertydiva.com, for cooking it up for us. So today, what we have, boys, this is brand new. We just hit the shelves within the last week.
Woo!
It is called Korean japchae fried rice with sweet potato glass noodles and vegetables. I have not had it myself. It smells good.
Wow, there's a lot going on.
I was unable to stop myself from eating before we even had the segment. And I think it's really good. I really like it.
Yeah.
What is it? Korean fried rice.
Korean japchae fried rice.
What the hell's a japchae?
Well, it's like the glass noodles in there.
Oh, is that the noodles?
Yep.
So it's not just rice. It's also rice and noodles.
Yeah, they're sweet potato noodles.
It definitely has a lot of flavor in it. Not too spicy. Not spicy at all.
That was really good.
Now, one of the
It
suggestions.
does have good flavor.
Do you like kimchi?
Yeah, there's some similarities.
Yeah. Well, they suggest you serve it with kimchi.
Yeah, add kimchi to it. That'll spice it up for sure.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. What is that like one package worth?
I think that's 2 packages.
I was going to say there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
Well, Mark can eat a package by himself.
Yeah. That's why I asked her to make both packages because it looked good and I thought that looks like it's going to taste real good.
Yeah. And we had a little pre-show meeting, so I'm sure Mark's really hungry.
Oh, yeah. The meetings, they get the stomach a rumbling.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Got to feed the mind.
Korean japchae fried rice. Looks to me like we're going to get 3 thumbs up.
Thumbs up
from everybody.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
Yep. Excellent stuff.
Good stuff.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Next part of the show, we're going to move on to here. First,
thing I want to do, though, is highlight something called Steel City Draft Gear.
Mm-hmm.
What
That's
is this?
right.
Yes, this is your. I got myself all screwed up. Here we go. Look at Schwab's going for. Go ahead, help yourself. There's a spoon in there. Steel City Draft Gear. What is that? Well, if you go to steelcitydraftgear.com, the NFL draft is coming to Pittsburgh, as we all know, in the spring after the season. We're making a big push for that. We've partnered with Steel City Draft Gear and Curtis.
He was here last week.
He was here last week. Go back and listen to or watch last week's show. You can go to steelcitydraftgear.com and you can actually buy a Sports Porch bundle. As you can see, the three of us are wearing our Sports Porch hats.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great fit, too. It's like a flex fit.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a big head, you got a small head, don't matter.
You also have the Steel City Draft shirts.
I got the backpack right back here. Yep. There it is.
Backpack behind him.
There. Got it back there.
You got the towels, our version of the terrible towel, or Steel City Draft Gear's version of the terrible towel right there.
Mm-hmm. Gonna need it for the draft, that's for sure. Hopefully
Porch.
not to wipe your tears away.
Seriously, Sports Porch listeners.
Different kinds of hats.
Yeah. Sports Porch listeners can go there and use the promo code PORCH for 5% off on your order. Steel City Draft Gear. Thank you, Curtis.
Not too early to get
love
your
it.
draft gear.
No.
Not too early, yes. And we will be highlighting this for months and months and months and pounding it into your head until you buy something.
Yes.
While these guys are like, look at this. This is like a hit. Yeah.
I'm still working on my first
Yeah.
bowl. Mark's
Yeah.
on his third, but
Yeah,
that's all right.
that's
Nothing wrong with
hilarious.
that.
Second bowl.
Second bowl. Okay, let's move on here. We talk Steelers. We talk Pirates.
Uh-oh.
Now we're actually going to talk something here that is interesting. We're going to pivot back to baseball. And in pivoting back to baseball, HJ brought this up. Wimbledon fired their line judges. Now, this is tennis. We know we don't talk a lot of tennis, but and I don't think they fired the line judges. But what they did is they went to an automated system calling fouls.
Out of bounds, basically out of bounds plays, or
Line calls.
if it's on the serve, if it doesn't go into the right box, then it's a fault.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two calls, out and fault.
Right.
And Mike Lawrence has a question about the WNBA. We'll talk about that in a sec, Mike.
Oh,
So
yeah.
stick with us.
Let's talk
I
about
just
the
noticed your
WNBA.
comment there. So anyway, go ahead, HJ.
So what they did this year for the very first year is normally on the either side of the court, you can see the linesmen there, and they're usually dressed up in some purple and khaki pants or something like that. And they usually get hit by the ball, and it's kind of hilarious. But this year they're not there, and I didn't notice it at first, but I was like, there's something different. Like because you could notice the ball boys and the ball girls more because they weren't those people weren't out there.
Right.
So what they've gone is the big eye in the sky, the Eagle Cam, whatever it's called now.
Mm-hmm.
They're using that exclusively to call
Cyclops.
the Cyclops, whatever it's called, and they're using that exclusively. The technology, and Wimbledon's been around for 125 years. I don't know, long time. And for them to go to that technology, I think is pretty amazing. I've noticed actually in what they do is they say, I think there's still linesmen there, but they get buzzed if it's a fault. They have to call fault.
Right.
And if nothing gets buzzed, then nobody says anything and play just continues.
Right.
So, and there's no replay or anything. So there's no reason to do any replay because that's what it would be. It would be the
they
replay
do
of
show
what
it
they do.
sometimes on close
When it's close, they will show it, and they'll show maybe it's out by a millimeter, or maybe it's out by 3 inches, but
it's been
I love it.
speedier. It's been speedier. There's no complaining.
Yeah. You can't complain. You can't be like, oh, that ref screwed everything up and they messed up the rhythm and everything.
It's really been seamless.
I think it has been.
Yeah, it's really been impressive.
So that led me to think what other technologies could be used. And clearly, we've talked about this here on the porch. The balls and strikes in baseball, it just seems like it's ripe. Like I think if they introduced that and used it full time, I don't think you would see any problem with any of that.
I don't think you would either.
And also, you could use it, fair ball, foul ball,
Mhm.
that would be a little bit more difficult because
Yeah.
the way the ball kind of goes over
Right.
the base, that's kind
Right.
of arbitrary. That would be a little bit more difficult than it is in tennis for sure. But I mean, balls and strikes.
But that would be so nice. I mean, like there's so many times during games where, it's like the guy makes the same pitch, back-to-back pitches, and one time it's a strike and one time it's a ball.
right.
And both times when they show the replay, it's on the line. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's just like let's just make it easier here. And then you have the few refs that are like really off. They maybe only get like 80% of the calls right.
Right.
And it's just like, what's the point? Like this is obviously it's like down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like there's no question. I mean, it just seems to me like, it's just a better way to go.
Well, and I think if a sport like tennis and Wimbledon,
Mhm.
that's a classic game, can go to the technology, the United States can do the same.
Well,
Mhm.
here's my question. In tennis, whether the ball's in or out,
Mhm.
it's a line.
It's a line.
It's
Mhm.
not a
It-
three-dimensional situation.
If it hits the
Mhm.
line,
Right.
it's in. If it
Just
doesn't,
like in soccer, the ball has to be all the way over the line for it to be a goal.
or
Mhm.
just like in hockey, it's
Mhm.
got to be completely over the line.
Okay.
Mhm.
So from a technology standpoint, that's not really hard to manage.
No, very easy.
A strike zone is different. A strike zone is three-dimensional, and you've got a ball that might start above it, come through it, end up under it.
They have
It's a-
three-dimensional sensors.
They do.
I do.
You can go this way, and this way.
Well,
Mhm.
what I'm saying though is that so you've got more technology, you've got a three-dimensional box, and then you've got players that are different sizes.
That-
It
that's what-
adapts to that.
That's right. It automatically adapts to it.
Hmm.
And to me it makes perfect. It actually makes more sense in that sense because it's more complicated. So you add enough technology that it creates the three-dimensional box. If it goes into the box, it's a strike.
Okay,
Right.
so all right,
Right.
It's
so
that
then-
simple. If it hits anywhere on the box,
Right.
it's a strike.
Right.
Whether it hits the back of that box, the front of it going
Right.
up, whatever.
And instead, if you think about it, like the other way is if it's a live ump, right? Well, he might just have his strike zone for what he thinks a strike is. Like it should
Right.
be here and here.
Always the same, right?
But
Needs-
but if
needs-
it's a different
needs to number,
if it's a different player, it could be different.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Right. Okay, so that all of this being said, then and
we got you on board now.
we've had this debate.
Mhm.
Well,
He's
You're
coming
getting there.
around.
You're
He's
getting there.
coming
No,
around.
You're
Here-
getting there.
here's the thing.
You don't get rid of the ump behind the plate.
You don't.
He's still making the calls.
Yeah.
But he's not making the calls.
That's what
Right.
I'm saying. Okay, so I'm a purist. I like the human element of the game. I think
You're leaving the human in.
I get it, but you're not really because
Sure you are.
He's just repeating what the computer is telling him
How would you know if they
Let
were
me-
doing it now?
because they would know.
Well,
'Cause
there's
they-
still human element. There's still plays at the plate that need to be called safer out. There's still, the check swing. Did he
Mhm.
go around
Yep.
third, first base?
Yeah, I get it. I
you
get it.
know,
I get it.
Foul balls,
But-
did it
Mhm.
go over the base or
Right.
not go
Mhm.
over the base?
Theoretically and probably realistically, at some point, you can automate that too.
you
So,
could,
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but you could just keep it simple for now.
Just keep
Well,
it simple.
That's
Balls
where
and
I'm
strikes.
going. That's where I'm going.
Mhm.
You guys don't even want to let me finish. That what I'm saying is
We just want you to say you're right.
I'm a purist. I will always and forever want the umps calling the balls and strikes. That's the way I am. However, I'm also a realist. I realize that technology is going to be implemented in every sport to some extent. Just like Wimbledon, football is definitely going to go to the 10 yards and the ball, the first down marker.
I can't wait to see how that works.
That's
out.
an easy thing to do.
That's got to be a no-brainer. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just a line across.
Right.
Let's segue to that. in a
Goes,
second.
goes over.
Mhm.
The light goes on green. You're good.
Yeah, let's move to that in a second. So what I'm saying is the idea that they're going to bring it in slowly and give the players, like in the preseason this year, tap the helmet and have a
Mhm.
review. You know what? Don't even do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Just go
I agree.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
just
agree.
go 100%.
Just go all in.
As far as football goes, the one
Who, by the way, who last year was rallying for that?
you were
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
right.
I said, why do we have 1920s technology out there measuring the ball?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Don't need it.
First down markers.
Yeah.
No, you're
Mhm.
100% right, and that
The end zone too.
that part's easy. But what poses a little problem is how many times have you seen a ref? Now we're pivoting to football. How many times have you seen a ref? The guy falls on the ground, the ref picks the ball up to spot it, and you're like, I think it was like back a little further. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
are they going to use it to spot the ball too?
Well, they're not going to use it as a spot,
No.
but then it's just going to be a call down. Like, nope, it was a first down, and then they're just going to move it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
going to be
it won't be automatic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the other thing you have going against you in football is, well, did they whistle the play dead before the ball
Mhm.
advanced to
Right.
that level? So
Yeah.
that's going to be a little bit more
Like
tricky
forward
for sure.
progress.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they could go back. They could easily go back to the tape, see where the whistle.
But once again,
was.
that's going to slow shit
Yeah,
down,
Mhm.
of course.
and that makes it more difficult. Well, I'm glad to hear you're on board with the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not on board.
Here's
I'm
why
I'm
it's gonna
willing
happen.
to
You're
concede.
open to change.
You know why it's going to happen? Because I'm sure umpires are being paid off now, and with betting the way it is, it's going to be a huge, ugly thing, and they're
Well,
just going to
that's
have
true.
to go to automation. They're going to have to go to technology to prove
Mhm.
that it's not tainted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
anybody thinks. I mean, anybody who thinks that betting schemes aren't going on in professional sports is, I don't know what planet you live on. It's-
Exactly. So
Right.
the more they take that human element out of it, the better it is for the betting, the betters. because they always
the better
win.
it is for the small betters. The
Well-
big betters always know what's going on.
Well,
I'm talking millions and millions. And
Yeah,
millions,
but the people who give away the money, it's going to be better for them, and that's all that really matters.
let's pivot to this subject here.
This is a
because
great subject, Mike. I'm glad you brought it up.
We have a question about it. First of all, subscribe to the Sports Porch on YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. If you're not there now, go to YouTube right now at the Sports Porch Podcast and subscribe. Hit the notifications button so you know when we go live, which is every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Mike Lawrence wants to know, do you watch the WNBA, or as I call it, the Women's National Brawling League right now?
I
anyway?
love it.
What's with all the flagrant fouls and fighting and the incompetent refs not calling anything? Now, I'm going to bow out of this because I do not watch the WNBA at all.
Oh, you should be.
And listen, guys, I'm going to take a lot of flack for this, but I find absolutely nothing compelling about watching women play basketball.
Well, you have been watching lately.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I just don't. I just don't.
I mean, you're not fully developed, and that's okay.
He's a Neanderthal.
That's okay.
It's okay to call him what he
He's
is.
a caveman.
Yeah.
No, I just
Women can't play basketball.
Play sport. I
That's
don't
not what I'm
understand
saying.
how women can be in the NBA.
This is the flack I was talking about. I wasn't talking about that. I find nothing compelling about watching women play basketball. Now, I also right now don't find very much compelling about basketball. So,
Well,
Mhm.
there's a huge thing
but
going.
that's me.
Well, I will
That's
say,
me.
I will say this: if you enjoy,
I knew he wanted.
if you enjoy watching Steph Curry hit really long threes,
right.
right,
Caitlin Clark is doing the same thing,
right,
in the WNBA,
right,
and it's pretty damn impressive.
right. Nothing. I'm sure it's impressive. I'm sure it is.
I think as far as the brawling goes, as you call it, Mike, I think that just has to go with the animosity between NBA players and Caitlin Clark when it really comes down to it.
It's a jealousy thing.
I think that not now. I think that Caitlin Clark has brought a totally different dimension to the game, and I think the women who are there don't like it.
And that seems to be from the little that I've seen on social media.
And
so
it's
obvious.
not just purely racial, although there is definitely a racial component to it, but it's just jealousy, really, when it comes down to it, because both African American and white women are pulling her down with equal strength.
Mhm, mhm.
And it always has to do with Caitlin Clark for some reason, and the reason is she's talented and they don't like it.
And let me ask you guys this: this is a point worth just noting. So the WNBA has expanded. So starting in 2030, there will be 3 new teams.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be Philadelphia, Cleveland,
The Wiz.
and Detroit. You notice what's right in the middle of all those?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, we couldn't sustain an WNBA.
You think you
team.
don't even have a men's NBA team?
No.
There's no way
They
you
would
could.
be lucky if they filled Duquesne University's court with enough people.
AJ Palumbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be. They got a new court. It's nicer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's probably half the crowd you'd get for a hockey game. Yeah. So
What
I
is
mean,
it?
if you had a 7,500 space that you could put an NBA team in, the NBA wouldn't want that though. They like the big arenas,
Mhm.
You'd have to sell out the PPG, and I don't think there's a
No.
Well, and from what I've seen, the highest ratings come from Caitlin Clark, and when she's not featured, the ratings go down. They drop in half. So, I mean, really, are they really growing?
Well,
or
who's the other girl? Robinson, Steph,
Paige Bucher.
Paige. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, there's a number of stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it like, think about all the little girls out there.
Mm-hmm. They're finally
Fathers and mothers would take their little girls to WNBA games.
Sure.
I'm a big believer in if you build a winning program, people will come and watch it.
It's got to be entertaining though.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Savannah Bananas entertaining, but actual real sports
Yeah.
entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think right now all the fighting and the brawling is something that they did not anticipate when Caitlin Clark came into the league. And I think, I honestly think two things. First of all, a lot of the referees probably are not sure what to do. And second of all,
They know what to do,
well,
and they do it eventually.
they kind of then second of all, they've
But it
been
still
told
happens.
that any press is good press.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
right now, the more of a controversy there is with Caitlin Clark and jealousy in other players, the more people like me who end up on social media and we see something like, oh my God, look at this. Maybe it sparks some interest. So the league sees it as good because let's face it, this league is sponsored by the NBA. It doesn't make any money.
It hasn't
So-
made money ever.
Right. And with all of the attention that a player like Caitlin Clark is bringing to it, I still don't think overall it's going to make money. It's just going to lose.
Well, I can
less.
tell you, Caitlin Clark's definitely making money through sponsorship.
Well, she
Mhm.
is
100%.
Yes, I'm talking about. The
But she
league.
makes the same salary as everybody else right
Right.
now.
right.
So
Well,
probably
okay.
less than a lot of the more veteran players.
Right. And the way I see it is I think sports figures are overpaid as it is, especially the men's sports guys. I think a lot of people agree with that, but that's what the market bears. As far as women should be paid the same as men in sports, I'm sorry, take an economics class. It's like are they doing the same job? Sure, but it's entertainment. They're not bringing in the same amount of money. It's just if they paid them the same, there would be no league. If you want women in sports to be paid much as the men, start watching women's sports.
Yeah, start filling up arenas and
Fill up
and
arenas.
paying $75 a seat.
And I guarantee you they'll get paid
Mhm.
because we'll all be watching them.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on WNBA, it has nothing against women playing sports. It's just it just doesn't excite me watching women play basketball.
We
but
know
doesn't
why it
excite
It's
doesn't
an
excite.
okay recovery.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. We try to be controversial on here. The WNBA commissioner is a wuss, says Mike Lawrence, and won't put her foot down on all the junk.
I think I think she's just saying, hey, it's good attention.
Hey, look, here's the bottom
Nothing-
line.
nothing
We're
bad,
talking
like-
about the WNBA.
It's a good point.
We're
That is
talking
true.
about it.
We are talking
We're
about
talking about it.
it. You're absolutely
You
right.
are contributing to boosting the ratings there,
and
Chris.
you want to know what? If their ratings boost, they make more money, they pay the girls more money.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
How about that as a recovery? I'm all for
I
it.
love it. I
There you
love
go.
it.
Very
You're-
good, Chris.
You have kindness in your
Welcome
soul.
to the 21st century.
I am capable of change.
capable of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we need to just explain that to my wife. Okay. Every week or after every single game, the gentleman on my right, who is known as Hockey Jesus, preaches on the podcast
Amazing.
after every Penguins game during the regular season and the Stanley Cup playoffs. He recently did a live show with our friend the counselor on the Penguins draft, the NHL draft. You can follow him at the Sports Porch Podcast on YouTube. Hockey Jesus, is there anything you would like to preach about when it comes to the Penguins currently?
I mean, there really isn't much to talk about. I can talk just really quickly about some of the unknown free agent signings. They did sign Anthony Mantha to a 1-year contract, Justin Brazeau to a 2-year contract. Those are probably the only names you really need to know. All the other guys, they're nobodies. They did trade Ned, so that did free up.
I did see that.
So that frees up the spot for one of the rookie goalies, which is exactly what they need. I guess technically Bloomquist won't be a rookie next year, so if he makes the team, that'll be his second year. They did make some re-signings that are fairly interesting. Boko Omama, he was the guy that came up at the end of the year that liked to get a little rowdy. It got in a lot of fights. He's pretty feisty. They really like him, so they gave him a 1-year extension. I think he might get more if he plays as much as I think he's going to play. They kept the rights for Ponomarov. He's the guy that came in that deal for Gensel. He's actually going to play in Russia, but they actually gave him a qualifying offer, which basically means they retain his rights should he want to come back in. They did keep one of the Connor Dewar. He was part of the Toronto Maple Leafs deal that put I think Bolivier to DC, and they kept Tomasino for another year, only $1.75 million. Overall, the Pens are doing what I thought they would do, which is not make a big splash, not sign anybody big. Still trying to get picks for next year. Still trying to sign players who be able to play in the NHL in the next couple years. They had something like 50 people in their I forget what they call it, like rookie camp for lack of a better term. And the one of their picks, crap, I can't. Zonin really was shining. I guess he was the shining star for those teams, and their new guy Ben Kindle said his skating needs some help. But they said, like everything, you could see his mind working out there. He's going to be a playmaker. So we'll see.
Mind.
We'll see. I think Zonin might be a guy to look out for. He's not going to. Once again, these guys are not going to play this year. They'll be lucky if they get pulled up at the end of the season, if they really kick some ass down in Wilkes-Barre. On an NHL level, the big NHL level, McGavin is going to play for Penn State. He's going to be the guy who's going to be the number
Gavin
one.
McKenna.
Sorry, Gavin McKenna. Thank you,
McGavin.
MacGyver.
McDavid. He's not going to play in Canada. He can come. There was a rule that was made that if you played for the United States, then you had to wait a couple years before you get drafted. They removed that a couple years ago. So you're seeing more guys come to play basically college hockey because they can basically play for a year and then they can get drafted. The good ones. The other ones usually play for a couple years. Sometimes they get drafted while they're there. The really good ones don't have to wait. So he's going to be playing up at Penn State. So, hey, if you know anybody up at Penn State, and I'm talking to you, Tyler Planey, you're my guy. He's my cousin, not my cousin.
What about
my nephew? He's my nephew. He goes to Penn State. I'm expecting him to get me a couple of tickets.
what about this question from Chris Chata before we wrap up HJ here?
If I were in charge, would I upgrade or change the goalie situation? I personally, Chris Chata, I would have went after Gibson. I think he would have been a tremendous upgrade. The problem with going after somebody like Gibson is you basically are all in the next couple years, and they need somebody to develop for the next in like 2 or 3 years from now. I guess so. For that reason, no, I probably wouldn't have. But if I would have went after anybody, I would have went for Johnny Gibson. He's a local. He played locally for the Pens when he was growing up. I think he would have been great on the team, but I think his expiration date might have come before the Penguins actually had some talent to score goals in front of him. So they're probably doing the right thing, just waiting out Jari's contract, hoping somebody gets desperate, maybe wants him at the trade deadline next year. That $6 million is looking better and better with every year going by. I mean, Florida's got to re-sign Bob next year. It's a tough situation. There aren't a lot of really good goalies out there on top of it. So I think they're better off trying to develop one. So no, I wouldn't go out and buy somebody. Hard to change the goalie situation the way it is now.
Yeah, and as a last thought on that, everything that I'm reading, everything I'm hearing, everything I'm seeing is kind of like, while we're going to be hopeful, next year for the Pens is probably a wash.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that going into the season, you never know what's going to happen, but it doesn't look to me, or it doesn't feel to me like we're going to be, heading into the playoffs.
Oh no!
So,
One thing
I think I saw a preseason poll where they had them last.
Yeah,
I was listening to Madden, and he was giving his perspective on the 2026 draft. And he said not only is Gavin McKenna, sort of like the next guy that
McGavin, you mean
McGavin or MacGyver. But he said the top 5 picks in next year's draft are stars in the NHL.
Yeah, it's going to be a good draft.
So it'll be a good draft.
Sure. So tank. Let's tank. Just tank the whole year.
Doesn't mean you get anything in the NHL.
Lose
because everybody knows how that lottery works.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And coming up after Golden Girls, MacGyver.
Another reminder, after you decide to go over to YouTube and follow us on YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast, click the notifications button so you know when we're live every Monday at 7:30 p.m. We also want to encourage you to think about the NFL draft because that's coming up. Camp hasn't even started yet. Training camp hasn't started. The season hasn't started. We still have all of that to go through, and we're going to have a great time this year. And we got the Super Bowl. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, by the way.
They did. I'm already working on my big board.
I know. So, but before you know it, that draft is going to be here, and we got the jump on this with Steel City Draft Gear, the first ever draft in Pittsburgh, the NFL draft. It's going to be the biggest event this city has ever seen in its history, ever. And I don't care if you're a football fan or not, there's just going to be more people walking around here. So jump on this early. Steel City Draft Gear. Get your Sports Porch special gear. There's a bundle. There's a special. Go to steelcitydraftgear.com. Promo code PORCH. All right, guys. What we're watching, Schwaber, you want to give us a little description for those who are not aware of this?
Absolutely. So for those of you who are new to the show, what we're watching is our way of giving back to you, our fans, our audience, our friends. And what we're giving back to you is your time. You know how when you're looking for that new show to watch, and it's just so difficult. Like, what should I watch? Should I watch this? Should I watch that? You watch some trailers, then you don't even make a decision and you spent 45 minutes and you haven't watched anything.
Nothing.
Well, that does not ever have to happen again. All you need to do is look to your loved ones, your family, your friends, and say, the guys on the Sports Porch said 2 thumbs up for this one, or do not watch this one. Okay. We save you the aggravation if it's bad.
Yeah.
Agony.
And we bring to you the joy when it's good.
And one of the most valuable things you have in life is time. And we give that back to you.
We give it back to you.
The only qualification is that you have to have finished the season that you're currently watching in order to give a review. Now, you don't have to finish all 8, 10, 4 seasons, whatever it is, just the season you're watching. Or if it's a movie or a 1-episode documentary, you have to at least finish the movie or the documentary, even if it sucks. Because you can't give a review that it sucks if you don't know the whole thing sucks. So those are the qualifications. First on the list tonight, this is very interesting because HJ and the Grand Schwabine sent me the same.
Oh,
yes.
Ayo.
So we're gonna have a
That's kind of the music for the beginning of the show.
Oh, I thought this was in a test of the emergency broadcast system.
No, it was not. Oh, we did the same one. All right.
Yes, yeah. I just said you guys gave me the same one, so we're gonna have a double review here.
And your review, just as a heads up, I said to my wife Amy, this one will be Chris's this week.
Really? You knew it?
I didn't watch it, but I knew it. I knew it.
That's hilarious.
It was a no doubt about it.
Okay, well, let's go on to yours.
All right.
Let's go on to yours.
So who wants to start? Me or you,
Go ahead.
Steve?
Yeah, he's eating.
So Squid Game 3, if you haven't watched Squid Game, essentially what it is a bunch of people who are down on their luck
It's Korean.
in Korea.
Kind of like the japchae we were eating.
Mm.
Yeah.
There you go.
So a bunch of
They
people
didn't get food this good.
No.
So a bunch of people who are down on their luck are roped into playing these games, which they see that the winner will get so many billion won.
Which I don't even know what that equates to.
I looked it up, and it's
like millions of dollars.
it's basically millions of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, like when they're kind of like at the point where there's maybe like 12 people left. It'd be like if they stopped there, they'd get like 500,000 each.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they're roped into these games and they don't really know what to expect going in. And eventually what they find out is that you're taken to this secret island,
Right.
and it's kind of this sort of secret society where these, like rich people come, but they only wear masks, right? And they're playing these games that are all childhood games. But the only thing that is different is instead of, playing Ring Around the
You're
Rosie
out.
and you're out, you get killed.
You're dead.
If you
Yeah.
lose, you get killed.
You're out by being dead.
And
Right.
they don't know this going into the game.
They don't know it going in.
They just know that they're going to play a game show and they could win a lot of money.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And what Mark meant to say about the people with the masks is they actually watch the other players.
Mhm.
So they're the rich people that are up there with their caviar and their champagne,
Mhm.
and they're watching all this happening, and they're kind of laughing at all the players dying and things like
Mhm.
that.
Nice.
So they're not really nice.
So this
No.
is almost like a Korean version of a Twisted Hunger Games.
Somewhat,
yeah,
somewhat,
in some ways,
somewhat,
but it's
somewhat.
contained on this island in this building.
Right.
Right. And the other part of it is every week what happens is when players get eliminated, then the pot rises.
Right. More
But
money gets put in.
every week you get a chance to say, I want to stop right now and we'll split the winnings or we'll keep going.
And most of these people have so much debt,
So much debt,
they don't want to stop
they don't want to stop.
because
That's
they
how-
would still be in too much
Right.
debt.
That's how they find their players.
Right,
And
right.
that's how they
That's
they
how they
know
find
how
their
many
players,
people
yeah.
are going to vote. Yeah, we want to go on.
Right. So this was
There was a twist in this one, though.
Yeah, so this was Squid Game season 3, which was really a continuation of Squid Game season 2. It was kind of like the second half of it. And I would say that, I mean, look, I love the series. I thought it was really good. I didn't, for whatever reason, Steve, I wasn't crazy about the last 2 episodes.
Totally agree with you. Like what they
Yep.
tried to do was they tried to like make the people who are actually enforcing the rules of the
Mhm,
game
mhm,
into like the bad people,
Mhm.
so that the people playing the game would attack the bad people.
mhm.
But you knew that was never going to work. One,
Right.
you knew they were going to get killed from it anyways, and they were trying to take down the guy who actually ran all the games.
Right.
So they were trying to get to him, which you just know is never going to work. It never is
Right.
going to work out. And the other thing, the only twist that was really interesting was they put a pregnant woman in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that put a different spin on everything. I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell you exactly what happens,
Yeah.
but it made a difference in the way some of the players played about it. And it really made the players who wanted to eliminate the
Mhm.
baby
Mhm.
when it got born.
Oh my God.
It was on another level of weird, just
Yeah.
sadistic
See,
weirdness.
I kind of thought that the baby was a little bit too much.
Yeah, I agree. Like they
You
didn't
know?
need to go to that level.
No, like seriously, like even if something like that had happened, I would assume in real life they probably take the baby out of the game. That's what I think.
Well, I mean,
Well, I think it was dumb to put a pregnant woman in. The
Right,
beginning.
right.
I mean,
I would,
right.
I would assume
that's
in
where
real life,
they lost me at the very
Right,
beginning.
right.
I would assume in real life you wouldn't have a game where people get killed, but
Well, but we
and
know those exist.
the backstory,
You read Fox?
what? Oh my God, you're funny.
the backstory, they were like cops like trying
Mhm.
to find this island.
Right.
I thought that was a dumb line. I didn't like that at all.
I thought it was okay.
I just didn't like that. Like really, like you've got like 100 different islands, and they're like
Right.
going to try and figure out which one it's on. And
Right.
it's like hidden underneath. Like
Right.
you can't even see. It's not like it's this big complex that's on this island. It's dug
Yeah.
into the friggin' island.
But here's the thing. So the bottom line is, I mean, overall, though, I would
Overall-
certainly say watch it.
I would say watch it if you watch the first one.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you didn't watch the first one, the second one's not worth watching.
Although, I would say the third one's not worth watching. And now I know that the third one is a continuation of 2, but I thought actually season 2, I thought the games were the best they'd ever been.
I agree. The games are worth the whole thing. So
Yeah.
if you just want to fast forward and watch the games, you don't need to know what the storyline is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
Chris,
it's
you
really
can never
good.
watch it because it's in Korean, so you really have to pay attention.
Yeah. And then the other thing, what's kind of interesting,
Not during
Steve,
the game.
did you notice who made a cameo at the end?
I didn't.
Did you see when the front man is in LA
Yeah.
and he's looking down the street and there was a woman there playing the game?
I didn't see. No, I missed
you
that
miss
part.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, I know they're going to try and bring it to the United States.
yeah,
next.
so
I got
it
that.
was Kate Blanchett.
Oh, is that who
She
it
was
was?
the one who was playing the game.
Oh, okay.
And so, the obvious next step is Squid Game in the United States.
USA.
In
Yeah.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
so-
island would it be on? You think?
I don't know. Maybe not even an island.
Neville Island.
Somewhere in the middle of the Grand Canyon.
No,
Alcatraz.
I think Neville Island out in the
Neville
in
Island?
the Ohio River.
Maybe.
Yeah,
In the Keys
that'd be
Rocks?
perfect.
Right, across from
Pat off track says in real life.
Mhm.
No, Pat, put that drink down.
Mhm.
All right. I watched something. Now, what's funny is you said
Yes.
this is gonna
I
be,
said to my wife, Amy May, if you're out there, give a holler. I said, this is a no doubt about it, no brainer. This will be what we're watching for the week.
and when did you say that to Amy?
I said it to her this week when, I opened up my Netflix and there it was, like, the first thing they were
So,
showing.
a couple days ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. It was not going to be my
Really?
no. I watched it today.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I watched it today. So if you've ever wondered about going on a cruise, okay, have you guys ever been on a cruise?
Never really wanted to.
No.
I was on a like high school cruise down a river that was an overnight, but that was about it.
If I go on a cruise, it's going to be an 80s cruise.
Yeah. So I never wanted to go on a cruise. My in-laws took my wife and her family and our family on a cruise like 10 years ago. I didn't enjoy it at all. Won't go into the reasons why. But if you've ever considered going on a cruise and you're kind of iffy about it, this will change your mind completely. This is Trainwreck.
I saw this.
Cruise.
I saw this.
Yeah.
I was like, I am not watching this. I'm so glad you did, though.
And I got to tell you, what's funny is the fact that Mark predicted this was not on my list. This was like the documentaries that I like are a little more complicated than this. This was cruise ship takes off, goes to Cozumel, has a good time, halfway back home, engine fire, power goes out, toilets back up, 6 days at sea, swimming in shit. That's what it was.
Oh,
right.
man.
Yeah. And it was only 55 minutes long.
Mhm.
There you go.
It was kind of compelling because basically I wanted to like
You wanted to see how they're going to get out of it.
well, basically what happened is there was an engine fire. The fire was put out and they made the announcement that, hey, everybody, the fire's out. Everything's cool. The power came back on. Resume your normal life.
They were lying.
The people were like, okay, they were scared, but they were like, okay, cool. And then like within an hour or so, the lights went out, everything off, and the ship's drifting. And so then they're like, this is not cool. And then the woman who's in charge of like guest relations, her name was Jen, and she would come over the big intercom. She had a British accent. They interviewed her, and she was like, okay, so emergency mode here, no phones, no internet, no power, no nothing. They're just drifting. They do have a satellite phone, so they get on the satellite phone. and they're like, okay, how are we
We
going to
need a tow.
how well it's like you think of everything, right? You think of it, how are we going to feed these guys? How long is it going to be until rescue gets here? Hopefully there's not a storm.
The food's
coming
going to
in.
go bad.
Right, right. All this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden somebody goes, wait a minute, the toilets are electric. What are we going to do? And they're like, oh yeah, that's
Don't
kind of a
use
bad
the
problem.
toilets.
So then it comes over the intercom. She's like, okay, everybody. So if you have to go in number one, this is recorded. They have this. She's like, if anybody has to go in number one in a British accent,
The top deck is for you.
No, you can always go in the shower. If you have to go in number two, the crew is going to be dispersing red biohazard bags, and you can poop in the bag and drop them in receptacles on the decks.
Oh my goodness.
And people are like, they're interviewing people on the cruise. They're like, I'm not shitting in a bag.
Oh, you will if you have to.
Yeah. So a few days go by. They're drifting out to sea. The tugboat can't reach them because they're drifting. So they have to change plans. And then all of a sudden, what they notice is that when the tugboats get there, they start pulling the ship, and the shift lists a little bit to like either the left or the right.
Sure.
It's being pulled. And with that, all of the poop and pee and excrement that is now filled up all the tanks, when the ship lists, it all comes pouring out of the toilet.
Oh,
pouring down
man.
the walls. Right, exactly. And Amy said Mark said it for sure. No, I completely believe him. You'd think they'd have a contingency plan. They do now.
They need redundancy on those boats.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, if I was ever, I had decided after the last cruise, because it was a miserable experience for me. I decided after the last cruise, I was never going on a cruise again. This is the nail in the coffin, because it's kind of like, yeah, what do you do? So
You swim in shit.
yeah. So as far as my review goes, the documentary, it flowed well. It had a good, the people they interviewed, they were like, we were going on a cruise because, and then it was a lot of fun because, and then all of a sudden their perspective, it was good. It was well done.
The tugboat finally pulled them home.
But eventually they all got home.
Did they get refunded?
Carnival gave them each $500 and a free cruise.
Free cruise.
And
Come back.
Yeah. And
Guaranteed to be poop free.
well, and here's the thing. Back then, this is like 10 years ago. Back then,
oh, wow. 10
what
years
people
ago.
didn't realize, the fine print on Carnival's tickets said they do not ensure safety, quality food, safe facilities. It literally, the tickets basically say in a nutshell,
You might die.
with like
Not our fault.
We can't promise you the ship won't sink and you won't die,
Right.
but come have a good time.
Welcome
Right.
to Carnival.
Yeah. Since then, they have changed the tickets, and things are a little different. And so when they tried to sue them
Yeah.
because of that ticket,
Class
the
action.
attorney
suit.
that jumped on it was like, there wasn't anything we could do.
Yeah. It's on
Right.
the ticket.
Who'da
You
thought?
signed it.
Right.
But then they ended up settling with them,
Right,
Because I
yeah.
think it was probably the
Right.
thing
PR
to do.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So Trainwreck Poop Cruise on Netflix.
I'm so glad you watched it. I'm not going to.
I'm not going to.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a neutral because it wasn't a bad watch, but it wasn't like the most compelling thing.
Right.
It was there were actually parts of it that were kind of gross.
Right. Exactly.
But if
You think?
yeah, but if you're wondering, about going on a cruise, just watch that. I'm pretty sure it's
Some people like swear by
Shame.
cruises. They just love
Yeah,
them and they go
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Some people do.
The unlimited food and everything.
Oh yeah, one thing I did notice, this was a Carnival cruise. I think of the ship was called the Triumph, which you'd think after a ship would literally fill up with shit and shit was raining down from the ceilings and coming down the stairs. What do you think you would do with that ship?
Rename it.
Right.
Just tear it apart.
I mean, I would
Well,
sink
I
it.
would
Yeah,
sanitize it first, and then I would
Right.
rename it.
$115 million. They re-gutted it, did it, and renamed it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's just throw it right back out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's throw
Those
it right
boats
back
are
out there.
expensive.
Yeah. So there you go.
I can't wait till next. wait till you guys. Well, the review I got for next week is fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it.
Woo!
I am looking forward to it.
Should have did it this week.
Woo!
Want to thank everybody for being here. This is the Sports Black and Gold edition every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, X, and all over the world. You can subscribe on YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. I'm going to drop the podcast also right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. For the Grand Schwabini, for HJ, I'm your TD. Hit SteelCityDraftGear.com. Use promo Porch. We'll see you next Monday. I'm out.
See ya.
Jabrons.